He opened. A smile and a face familiar as Khakis could never have predicted. Surely I know this old man, he thought. The patron saint of the uncanny stood aside, and Khakis followed after his companion. With goosebumps and a mute resonance, they sat down. A looming astonishment came over him. He was in the presence of something, and yet everything around was perfectly benign. It was all warm and ordinary as could be, except it wasn't. Ordinary, that is. The warmth, both literal and figurative, was real.
It's about the dream, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You know, not everybody gets the dream. Just some folks. Used to be more before. Now with your computers and your televisions, you're half asleep. Anyway, there's different kinds of dreams. Some dreams you carry with you. Some dreams are in. Other dreams you come across. Those dreams are out. Just the same way topography changes, so do dream landscapes, and some places have their own dreams. Some people hide dreams in places they don't think they'll be found by the wrong element. That's what happened here. Have you ever heard of a fellow called Harifa?
Yeah. Yeah, actually I have.
Yes. Harifa. Long time ago, he was given a dream from a faraway place. Kind of dream people aren't really supposed to be having. Kind of dream that got made places people don't live. He was given it and very impressed by it, took it around few places and eventually found hospitable ground in our little town. You see, the plague hit this town in the late Middle Ages and it was empty when he arrived. So he started bringing people over, bringing it back to life. The people he brought, they got taught. They got to understand.
But wait, that name, I heard that name at work. Clara, isn't Harifa the founder of the Institute? Sure is. Right, but the Institute wasn't founded in the Middle Ages or early Renaissance. It was founded a few years ago.
Who was it? Well, the secret to longevity is refounding. Probably it's had different names over the years.
Harifa, wasn't he a 1960s business tycoon with all sorts of ideas about how new technologies are going to revolutionize the world? He came over here, he wanted to work in a idyllic little setting. He brought experts from all over. He started trying to bring his inventions to the general public. There's a whole introductory video about it at work. All the newcomers have to watch it during their onboarding.
Yes, well, that's all true, in a sense. If you set it back a few centuries, it's even truer. Not that Harifa ever really left. I suspect his spirit is about somewhere.
Okay, listen, you're going to have to explain this more thoroughly. I'm not following.
No, you're not following. You're barely standing. Haven't you ever heard stories of people getting taken away, maybe by a giant rabbit outside a pub, per the Irish folklore? And off they go to see the city of the Fae or the Jinn. And some of those might be more or less tolerant of the human lot. Others see this whole human project of yours as a bit of a failed experiment, as a blight on the earth. Some are quite convinced that it needs to be gotten rid of. And it would seem Harifa encountered the latter category. After his vision, he spent his life trying to bring those contraptions, those seductive images they'd shown him, into the sphere of the mortal abode, and Well, the company you work for is the latest incarnation of that pet project. Now, as for the image you see, if you want to know what it is...
Oh, I don't. I do not want to know what it is. I want to get as far away from it as possible. And if it really is linked to this place, if it's really something here, then I'm leaving.
Oh, I see, yes. You're leaving, are you? Yes. Well, that's all right. But wherever you go and whatever you do, you'll know it exists. And you'll know you could have ceased its existence. You could have cut that monster, but you didn't. So good luck living knowing that.
Fine. What is it?
You can find out. You just have to go where it dwells.
Where?
At the foundation of what it built.
The next day, Khakis arrived early. There was nobody in the building except for security at the front desk. He took one of the service elevators and rode it all the way down, all the way to the basement. There was no one there to ask for his credentials, and his badge, for some reason, allowed him in through some of the darker rooms. There was nothing there, no monster, no physical representation of his nightmare. He went back to his desk, still alone in the office, feeling somewhat ashamed. Obviously there's nothing there. It's a metaphor. The monster lies at the foundation of whatever this project is. But then what did he have to do? What did he have to see to understand it? He hunched over in front of his monitor and waited for people to show up. It was still a good 2 hours before most would come into the office, but maybe someone, maybe a boss, maybe he'd get brownie points. Wouldn't help to be asleep when they came, but he couldn't much stop himself. His eyes closed, his head and frame fell. When he woke up, the office was full of people. He looked around, but nobody seemed to have noticed that he was dozing. He stood up and walked over to the water cooler, and then something caught his attention. Someone seemed to be having an epileptic fit or something. He looked over at the weird spasmodic movements, and there it was.